The moment the Bentley Continental GT Speed comes into view, it does not shout for attention, yet it commands it effortlessly, because this car has always understood that true power never needs to raise its voice. And what you see here is not just another luxury coupe, but a statement built from heritage, confidence, and relentless engineering ambition, shaped for people who appreciate speed wrapped in absolute refinement. And as you walk closer, the long sculpted hood, the wide planted stance, and the smooth muscular curves tell a story of motion even while standing still, and it feels as if the car is quietly breathing, waiting to be awakened, because everything about it suggests controlled energy rather than aggression. And that is where the Continental GT Speed separates itself from every other Grand Tourer on the road. When you slide into the cabin, the outside world immediately fades away, and you realize that Bentley does not simply build interiors, they create environments where time slows down and distractions dissolve, because the leather feels warm and alive under your hands, the stitching is perfectly aligned like a tailored suit, and the scent of natural hides and fine wood reminds you that craftsmanship still exists in a digital age. And this cabin is not trying to impress with gimmicks, but with confidence built through decades of tradition and evolution, and the seats hold you gently yet firmly, as if the car already understands that you will be traveling long distances at very high speeds, and comfort should never be compromised. The Continental GT Speed is designed for people who want effortlessness without losing connection, and this becomes clear the moment you press the start button and the engine comes to life with a deep, refined growl that is powerful but restrained, because Bentley believes performance should feel civilized and not chaotic. And under that long hood sits an engineering masterpiece that delivers immense power with smooth precision, and the acceleration does not feel violent but relentless, as if the car simply decides that the horizon should come closer and makes it happen without drama. And this sensation is what defines the GT Speed, because it never feels rushed or strained even when you push it hard. As you begin to drive, you notice how the steering feels perfectly weighted, offering clarity without nervousness, and the suspension absorbs imperfections in the road like they were never there. Yet the moment you enter a corner, the car tightens itself with surprising athleticism, reminding you that this is not just a luxury cruiser but a true performance machine. And this dual personality is where Bentley has invested its soul, because the Continental GT Speed is equally comfortable gliding through city streets as it is devouring open highways and mountain roads, and it adapts to your mood rather than forcing you to adapt to it. There is a unique sense of isolation inside the GT Speed, where noise, vibration, and harshness are carefully filtered so you remain connected to the drive without being overwhelmed, and this balance is incredibly difficult to achieve, yet Bentley has mastered it through years of refinement and innovation, and the result is a cabin that feels calm even when the speedometer climbs into territory that most cars would find intimidating. And this calm confidence changes the way you drive, because instead of feeling stressed, you feel composed, focused, and in control. The design philosophy of the Continental GT Speed is rooted in elegance rather than trends, and this is why it feels timeless rather than modern for the sake of being modern. And every surface has purpose, every line flows naturally, and nothing feels forced or exaggerated, and this restraint is what makes the car age gracefully, because it does not chase attention, it earns respect. And this becomes especially clear when you see it in motion, where the proportions make sense, the wheels fill the arches perfectly, and the body seems to glide rather than cut through the air. Bentley understands that luxury is not just about materials but about how those materials make you feel over time, and this is why every control, every button, and every dial has been designed to feel satisfying to use, because true luxury reveals itself in daily interactions rather than first impressions. And even the technology inside the Continental GT Speed is integrated thoughtfully, ensuring that it supports the driving experience rather than distracting from it, and the interface feels intuitive, refined, and quietly advanced. Long journeys in the Continental GT Speed feel shorter than they actually are, because the car removes fatigue from the equation, and you arrive at your destination feeling refreshed rather than drained. And this is where the concept of grand touring truly comes alive, because this car was built for crossing countries and continents with ease and grace, and whether you are driving alone or with a passenger, the sense of occasion remains constant, because every mile feels special and every drive feels intentional. The performance of the GT Speed is not about numbers on paper, although those numbers are impressive, but about how that performance is delivered, and the power builds smoothly, the response is immediate yet controlled, and the car never feels unpredictable or intimidating. And this creates trust between the driver and the machine, because you know exactly what the car will do when you ask it to do something, and this trust encourages you to explore its capabilities further without fear or hesitation. Bentley has also paid great attention to the emotional connection between the driver and the car, because the Continental GT Speed is not designed to be a background object in your life but a companion in your journeys, and this emotional connection grows stronger over time as you learn its character, its strengths, and its subtleties. And this is why owners often describe their Bentleys as something more than just cars, because they become part of personal stories, memories, and milestones. At night, the Continental GT Speed takes on an entirely different personality, where the ambient lighting softly illuminates the cabin, creating a calm, intimate atmosphere, and the road ahead is framed by precise, confident headlights that guide rather than overwhelm. And driving at night in this car feels almost meditative because the outside world becomes quieter, the engine hums smoothly, and the miles slip away effortlessly, and in these moments you truly understand what Bentley means by refined performance. Despite its size and presence, the Continental GT Speed never feels cumbersome or difficult to manage because the engineering beneath the surface works tirelessly to make everything feel natural and intuitive. And whether you are navigating tight urban spaces or open highways, the car feels cooperative rather than demanding, and this ease of use is one of its greatest strengths because it allows you to enjoy the experience without constantly thinking about the mechanics behind it. Bentley has always believed that luxury should be personal, and the Continental GT Speed reflects this philosophy through countless customization options that allow owners to tailor the car to their tastes and preferences, and this personalization transforms the car from a production model into a unique expression of identity because no two GT Speeds need to feel exactly the same, and this sense of individuality adds another layer of emotional value to ownership. What truly sets the Continental GT Speed apart is its ability to feel special every single time you drive it, and this is not something that fades after the novelty wears off because the car continues to reveal new details, new sensations, and new levels of appreciation over time, and this depth is what makes it a true luxury performance icon rather than a fleeting trend because it rewards long-term ownership rather than just first impressions. The Continental GT Speed also represents Bentley's understanding of modern expectations, where performance, luxury, and technology must coexist harmoniously, and this balance is achieved without sacrificing the brand's core values because even as the car embraces advanced systems and features, it remains unmistakably Bentley in its character and presence, and this consistency is what loyal enthusiasts appreciate because the brand evolves without losing its identity. Driving the GT Speed on an open road feels like a private escape from the chaos of everyday life because the car creates its own world where comfort, power, and refinement exist in perfect balance, and this sense of escape is one of the most valuable aspects of the experience because it allows you to disconnect mentally while remaining fully engaged physically and emotionally, and few cars are capable of offering this duality. The craftsmanship inside the Continental GT Speed deserves special recognition because it reflects a level of human involvement that is increasingly rare in modern manufacturing, and every stitch, every panel, and every surface tells a story of skilled hands and careful attention, and this human touch creates warmth and authenticity that cannot be replicated by automation alone, and this is something you feel rather than simply observe. Bentley has also ensured that the Continental GT Speed remains relevant for years to come by focusing on quality, durability, and timeless design rather than short-lived trends, and this forward-thinking approach means that the car will continue to feel special and desirable long after others have faded into obscurity, and this longevity adds to its value both emotionally and materially. The Continental GT Speed is not about proving anything to anyone because it already knows what it is and what it represents, and this quiet confidence is what makes it so appealing to those who understand true luxury because it does not rely on excessive branding or loud design cues to communicate its worth, and instead it lets the experience speak for itself. Every drive in the GT Speed feels intentional and meaningful because the car encourages you to slow down mentally even as you move quickly physically, and this contrast creates a unique driving rhythm that feels natural and satisfying, and this rhythm is what keeps owners coming back to the driver's seat again and again because it never feels routine or ordinary. Bentley has created something truly special with the Continental GT Speed because it successfully blends performance heritage with modern refinement without compromising either, and this balance is incredibly rare and difficult to achieve, yet it defines the essence of the car, and this is why it stands in a category of its own rather than competing directly with others. The sound of the engine, the feel of the steering, the comfort of the cabin, and the confidence of the design all come together to create an experience that feels complete rather than fragmented, and this completeness is what elevates the GT Speed from a high-end automobile to a true grand touring masterpiece. As time passes and miles accumulate, the Continental GT Speed does not lose its charm but gains character because it becomes part of your personal journey, and this relationship between car and owner deepens with every drive and every destination, and this emotional bond is what defines true automotive excellence. In a world that often values speed over substance and noise over meaning, the Bentley Continental GT Speed stands as a reminder that true luxury performance is about balance, intention, and confidence, and it proves that you can have immense power without aggression, advanced technology without coldness, and exclusivity without arrogance, and this philosophy is what makes the car timeless rather than temporary. The Continental GT Speed is not simply a way to get from one place to another but a way to experience the journey itself, and this perspective transforms every drive into something memorable because the car encourages you to appreciate the road, the moment, and the sensation of movement rather than rushing toward an endpoint. When you finally step out of the GT Speed and walk away, you often find yourself turning back for one last look, not because you need reassurance but because the car leaves a lasting impression that lingers in your mind, and this lingering presence is the mark of something truly special because it continues to resonate even after the engine has been switched off. The Bentley Continental GT Speed is a celebration of what is possible when tradition, innovation and passion come together with purpose, and it represents a vision of luxury performance that feels human, authentic and deeply satisfying, and for those who understand its language, it offers not just transportation but an experience that enriches every journey and elevates every moment spent behind the wheel.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.